I'm Frank Vaughn. It's July 3rd, 2025, and we're going to open today as your favorite political commentator with a reaction video to a reaction video of reaction videos with reactions. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm Frank Vaughn. It's July 3rd, 2025, and we're
I like this guy's consistency. He's always saying the date. He always tells you who he is, so you know exactly who you're dealing with when you're listening to his content.
Videos with reactions. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I don't know what happened to his hair. 2025. I like this guy's consistency. He's always saying the date. He always tells you who he is, so you know exactly who you're relying on your video of reaction
videos with reactions. Without further ado, let's get into it.
He's got I don't know what happened to his hair. 2025. I like this guy's consistency. He's always saying the date. He always tells you who he is, so you know exactly who you're relying on with video of reaction videos with reactions. Without further ado, let's get into it. I don't know what happened to his hair. I like this guy's consistency. He always tells you who he is, so you know exactly who you're relying on.
You're listening to.
He's one of the better readers out there, but he looks a little confused.
He's got some. If you like my reaction videos, please like, share, and subscribe, because I have an endless supply which I will upload every single day, and you people will watch all of them. Hope you can appreciate a little bit of humor. I just was inundated yesterday with a whole pile of reaction videos and checking out channels that are nothing but reaction videos, not really any original content. They're all just putting out reaction videos. And I remembered a video I seen years ago by a guy by the name of K. Machiavelli where he did something very similar to what I just did. So credit to him for the idea. I totally copied it, but hope you had a laugh. Something's come up today that I have to go and deal with. Just vehicular, not a big deal. Just we only have one vehicle, so I got to go solve the problem. But there is one important thing I wanted to discuss today, and that is the attitude that Canadians have towards Indigenous peoples. There is two sides to a story, and if we don't get our act together, that is the English and French descendants, the European descendants here in Canada, who carry, not just in their minds, but in their genes, the lineage of the cultural inheritance that we've all collectively had come down to us and experienced and lived for generations, the very thing that created Canada, the United States, and the European nations as places that everybody else in the world wants to go to. If we, and I say we because it is we, I'm French, I'm English, and I'm Native. I got it all. I'm like a Heinz 57. I think the hair comes from the Native side. I think the curl comes from the French, and I don't know. We could parse it all out, but it doesn't really matter. I was born on this land. This land is all I know. And that's what we got to talk about too. This idea of the past, restitution for the past, attacking the past, taking down monuments, attacking statues and histories, things that are dead and gone and buried, that have no bearing on the destruction that's happening to our nation today. And today should be our primary concern. If the Europeans, if the European descendants, if the old stock Canadians, if you will, do not learn to come together with the Indigenous, we will all, in short order, be minorities in our own land. And under this aegis of mass immigration that we're dealing with, you know, some people have assaulted me with words saying that I'm a cultural nationalist and it's not enough. You have to be an ethno-nationalist. And I believe there's some truth to ethnicity, and I don't think people should be denied identity with their ethnic background. But I don't necessarily think that the ability to be a Westerner, not just a Westerner in the prairie sense, but a Westerner in the civilizational sense that appreciates the institutions of civil rights and knows how to use toilets properly and wants to be clean and wants to have a clean society and knows how to use trash cans. I don't think those values, and there's more to it than that. I'm simplifying things because these are some of the problems that come up. We got mass dumping on the sides of the roads by people who come from places that don't have dumps. They don't know what a dump is. And the idea of paying to get rid of your trash and putting it in one spot is a complete and foreign concept. That's why you got open defecation in the streets, because, I mean, India as a society, they have the most open defecation in the world. These are some serious cultural conflict problems that we have, but it's not representative of every single person that immigrates here from there or from China or from anywhere else in the world. We should be implementing standards in immigration. We should have demands. Speak the language, honor the laws, learn how to use a toilet. All of these things are really important. There's absolutely nothing wrong. If so many people want to come here, because it's such a wonderful place, and even that's changing, but let's pretend for a minute that Canada is still a very desired target for the world's people, which it is and it isn't. It's kind of a gray area these days, because there's a lot of people leaving and going back because Canada is an unaffordable mess. Can you imagine? We're in such a situation that there are people from the developing world, like India, where they have open defecation in the streets, and they don't have dumps, and their garbage is littered everywhere, and there are people who are actually choosing to go back to that. They are, believe it or not, choosing to go back to that rather than live here because living here is too difficult. I digress. There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting requirements on your immigration and making demands. And I think it's quite possible for brown people and black people to become fine, upstanding Canadians. I think it happens all the time. And I think the people that want to better themselves in that way, because we are, let's face it, the nations that we've built, the structures that we've built, the society that we've built, the culture that we've built, particularly in the post-World War world, is better than anything else. We're literally at the top of the heap. At least we were. I think we still are. I think it potentially is still salvageable. We're better than a lot of places on earth. I mean, we're the best. That's why people want to come here. We're the best. And people want to come here and become part of it. They want to leave behind. And I'm open to that idea. Completely open to that idea. And I always have been. And for that, I guess I'm not radical enough, and that's fine. I don't think that, and this is a further digression, but I don't think that the just complaints of the European people who are living here, living in the United States, living in Canada, who are being targeted unfairly by unjust laws in the name of diversity. We have open discrimination against the visible ethnic group that's the majority. Virtually the only people who are discriminated against anymore are the white Europeans. Openly. They can't get hired unless diversity quotas are met. Particularly, it's particularly damning when you look at government jobs. The exclusions. There's also race-specific programs and helps. There's not two-tiered, there's multi-tiered justice, where depending on the color of your skin and your ethnic background, committing murder doesn't equal the same as a white European committing murder. Like, we have to consider all of these things, but the white European is discriminated against in factoring in all of these laws. We have open discrimination of the majority population, which won't be the majority population for much longer because we've stopped having babies, which is the other problem. If you want to be an ethno-nationalist, you should get busy having babies. I think for the ethno-nationalist crowd, there should be a tiered system. So, like, if you have one baby, it's like that's your apprenticeship phase. And then if you have two, you're in your journeyman phase. And if you have three, you get your master's. And then you can be a very outspoken ethno-nationalist. Like, I don't understand how ethno-nationalists can go around flapping their gums about replacement and they don't have any skin in the game. They're single, they're bisexual. There's some of them I know that are very outspoken, and they play both sides of the fence. They're never planning on getting married. They're not planning on having any kids, but they talk about replacement, and it's like, you're doing it all wrong. It's all backwards. Have at least two, but you should go for three if you're that concerned about it. But again, what did I want to talk about when I opened this thing up? Indigenous peoples. And it's not to eliminate some of the problems that are had, but I want to talk about specifically the drawbacks of the reserve system for the person who's living on the reserve. I don't want to talk about the other things, because it's often thought They get all this welfare, and they're tax exempt, and it's just a gravy train for them. Welfare's never made anybody feel good about themselves. And if you want to actually prosper, if you want to make something of yourself, you're a native and you were born on a reserve and you actually want to make money, you want to own property, you want to participate in the free market and economy, you have to leave the reserve to do it. Because oftentimes, on most reserves, there's no economy whatsoever. The economy is the band chiefs and the band councils, which anybody that you talk to that lives on reserve will tell you are corrupt. They're driving around in their brand new vehicles, they're living in nice houses, and everybody else is living in squalor. The media, the politicians are always happy to pose for pictures with the band chiefs, but they never go and talk to the people. The only thing to really do is collect your welfare, which for a family of 4, I did some math yesterday, comes into around $2,000 to $3,000 a month that a family of 4 gets. And for that $2,000 or $3,000 a month, you basically sell your soul to the state. Under the Indian Act, itself a racist act, which everybody should be wanting to repeal, the Crown owns everything. The Crown owns the reserve. It's all leased back to the First Nations. But worse yet, the band chiefs manage those reserves. You don't get to own property. You don't get to buy and sell it. You don't get to rent anything out. You don't get to own the land under your feet. You have no economic prospects. So yeah, sure, you're exempt from taxation. But the second you leave the reserve, you have to pay income taxes like everybody else. If you want to actually participate and build something, you have to leave. And you end up being a taxpayer virtually on a lot of levels equal to everybody else that's participating in the economy. So if you want that welfare, you have to stay on the reserve. If you stay on the reserve, your education prospects are limited. And even if you can get an education paid for by the state, you can't get work on the reserve. You have to leave. The band chiefs are one of the biggest employers on reserve. So people are afraid because of the power that the chiefs hold and the band holds. They don't speak above a whisper about the problems that they're having. Because some people are wanting to get that employment. Because with all the billions of dollars that are flowing from Ottawa into the bands hire people. And that's the type of income that you don't have to pay tax on. It's not all it's not all free money on the reserves. It's bleak is what it is. It's bleak. If you want that welfare, your future is bleak. There's no economic development because of all the welfare pouring in from Ottawa. There's no future. There's meth and fentanyl. There's that future. $2,000 to $3,000 a month, even if you don't pay rent. But you do pay rent. You pay it back to the band. So you don't get to own your house. You can't own your house. You're paying rent forever. And it comes out of that $2,000 or $3,000 welfare. And yes, I know there's one-time payments for the residential schools and for the water and all the different things. But at the end of the day, the free money doesn't build a future. And that kind of sucks. So setting all that aside for a minute, there's a lot more detail I could go into, but I have a time budget here. This wasn't exactly how I planned to address this idea. But the fact remains, if the First Peoples don't come together with the Europeans, we're going to end up being completely outgunned and outnumbered and sold out and gutted by the elites in the government. And the government is not Parliament. The government of Mark Carney and his friends and the central bankers and the financiers, these guys, they're going to gut our cities. They're going to gut our land. They're going to sell off our resources. And they're going to keep mass immigrating us. Remember, he's got an advisor who's on the Century Initiative. They want 100 million people here by the turn of the century. 100 million by the turn of the century. We will all be minorities within one generation, I would say. Within 20 years, we'll be a minority. White Europeans will be a minority in Canada, which means the situation's even worse for the Native American. And what will make up our population? Because if we go 20 years in the future, that's 2045. halfway to that 100 million target, so you can anticipate that our population at current immigration rates, if it continues, will be somewhere between 55 and 60 million people. That's kind of incredible. Even if it's 50 million. We're not building enough homes, so where are they going to go? Prices keep going up. Pressure on everybody that's here, regardless of ethnic background, outside of European and Indian, increases. Economic pressure, living pressure, criminal pressure. And a lot of the people that are coming in, because we're not putting requirements, we're bringing in criminals, we're bringing in people who are disabled, and they're going on welfare within 6 months. It's crazy the burden our government is putting on us, breaking us. And a lot of the people coming in, because we don't put requirements on it, don't give a damn about our history. As Don Cherry rightly highlighted once upon a time and got completely canceled for it. They don't care about our history. They don't care about the treaties, all of these treaty statements. None of these people care. The Khalistani separatist who wants to create a Khalistani republic, and we are bringing in hundreds of thousands of people from India every single year, and a significant portion of them have all of these problems that I'm highlighting. They don't care about treaties. They don't care about federalism. They don't care about our history. They have their own agenda and interests. They don't even care about the languages we speak in this country. We're all going to be not just replaced, but erased. And I think it would be worthwhile. There's a lot of problems in the relationship between the natives and the whites. I've seen it more clearly since I moved to Western Canada. There's a lot of interplay. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of friendship and fellowship. But the tension's there, and you'd be a fool not to see it. And you'd be a fool not to acknowledge the fact that crime is out of control on reserve. And a lot of the crime off reserve is coming from people on reserve, and we're not supposed to talk about it. We're not supposed to say it out loud. But I think it might be good to ask why that is. It's not just the lack of prospects and economic development. There's lots of money, but no one's really doing anything with it. Can you imagine living in a place your entire life where there's no career prospects? You don't really have enough money because you're living there and you're getting this welfare, so you have to eat all the cheap carbs. You're drilling yourself full of additives and sugars. I mean, if you live anywhere, just look at the shopping carts. It's cheap, large number carbs. That's what people are drilling into themselves. You have no prospects. You can never own anything. You feel like you're a slave under the band, let alone the country. It's not all easy. That's all I'm really trying to convey here. People think it's just free money and it's all a free ride and, it's all roses. There's a lot of incredibly depressed people who feel stuck and afraid to leave. And then on the flip side of that, there's an enormous number of First Peoples, natives, whatever the hell you want to call them. I don't even know why we're so obsessed with not calling them Indians. Not calling my grandfather an Indian. He called himself an Indian. He identified with that word. We have the Indian Act, still the law of the land. Nobody's upset about that, but we're not supposed to use the word Indian, I guess. But there's a lot of natives that end up leaving reserve and building fruitful lives off reserve and paying taxes just like you and me. And they have the same problems that you and I do. And the thing that they also share is a knowledge of our history and a concern for where the direction, for how bad things have gone, but should be. Like, compared to the past, and this is something else, if we keep obsessing over the past, the future is going to steamroll all of us, and everything that we're arguing about today when we're arguing about the past ain't going to matter anymore because nobody's going to care. The people here will be caring about different things. They'll be caring about their own past. They'll be caring about the future that they're trying to create for themselves. If we don't shed this obsession with the past, which is a very convenient, by the way, political tool for the powers that be who are ripping us off and destroying our country, it's a convenient political tool to get us focused on, I was going to swear there, BS, pulling down statues, changing road names. This stuff ain't fixing nothing. It's all virtue signaling empty stuff. All the treaty statements and all that stuff Just words, as they gut and sell us all out. They sell the land out from all of us. Anybody that's been here for generations, we're all getting screwed by their policies. And the obsession with the past enables them. If we don't come together, we're all going to lose everything.